Dear future artists, designers, architects, thank you very much for your interest towards Estonian Art Academy's international study programs. My name is Kirke Kangro, and I am holding currently this wonderful position of being a Dean of Fine Arts in our academy. Between my own art studies and becoming one that provides young artists with education, I was a freelance artist and also a curator later for quite some years. And I do believe that as every artist has to invent the very individual way of being an artist, or also constantly reinvent the ways we see or perceive or actually communicate the society and the world around us. Every art education has to be extremely original and renewed constantly according to the new generation of artists, maybe even according to every individual artist in the program. And I do believe that in this rather small academy, we try to follow that concept. And even though that Estonia is probably not the most known art mecca in the world, I do believe that at the time of triumph of social media and the worldwide global village, this is probably the really best place where you can develop your inner artist and very gives definitely many benefits of doing it rather comfortably. I honestly suggest you to join us if you are ready to risk to become the real artist that is hidden inside of you, and if you are ready to become really self-conscious creator. Estonia is a small place, but mainly its population consists of intelligent and talented people. And I would also say that it's extremely easy to make connections in this small infrastructured state. As I promoted last year, I think it's not even too difficult to reach the Estonian president if it is really important for your own art research or study. So the other good thing about our curriculum is that it is really updated. It is designed by very active and clever young designers, artists, and architects. And at this moment, I would be happy to give the possibility to the heads of the international study curricula to introduce their own programs. Thank you, and till very soon.
Thank you. Now we have Katie Clavin here from Urban Studies. So,
yes. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not the head of the studies. I'm a teaching staff member here, and yes, my name is Katie Clavin. So hello, webinarium, all the people online looking, all those 5 I was checking. So yes, I'm urbanist. I have been working in the field of urbanist for past 10 years. And besides being a member of teaching staff here at the Art Academy, I'm also one of the runners of Estonian Urbanist Lab and editor of Estonian Urbanist Review. And I'm here to introduce the international study program, Urban Studies, and maybe draw out some specificities which which comes with a program that's been situated in the Art Academy. Generally about the program is that the program foregrounds the perspective of the city as a physical space, which includes both its structures, forms, infrastructures, but also the city as a social space, and foremost, which interests us here, is also the city as a space of design. So the program combines rigorous academic work with intensive field work, and it integrates different disciplines. It is interdisciplinary. So we have knowledge from urban studies, but also urbanism in general, urban planning, architecture theory, sociology, urban ethnography, and geography. There is no clicker. What is the education in general about this? That it's, I think it's worth mentioning. It's fully English. It's 2-year master program. So both international but as well as Estonian students are welcome. And the education prepares you as a student to engage already with this existing situations, the current urban issues, in this intersection between this design practice, political practice, and the theoretical knowledge. So you will learn about urban design, urban and spatial planning, but also state and municipality policy making, public expertise, but also, for example, about community activism, social activism, and so on. So doing it, it's kind of preparing students for understanding and intervening into urban space, and this kind of a dual character of the city as a built form, but city as a social space as well, is really much emphasized. So the program leads students to have an insight in the dynamics of those different institutions, actors, and conflicts that shape today's cities. What kind of assignments are given? I think the format of assignments are different. We have long-term research studios, but also they are combined with intensive field works, workshop lectures, so on. I think the most distinctive kind of a sentence, or the most concrete sentence that describes our program is this, if you go back.
Yes, thank you.
Is the theoretically informed action in the field. So we take our students' effort seriously. The program is engaging with real actors, real municipalities, real private developers, and we really promote also publishing students' works, and commonly the gradings or the ending or the final outputs of our studios are always public events. The curriculum itself, which is in the following slides, just to give an overview, I already mentioned there are lecture courses, there are reading seminars, but one distinctive thing in Art Academy, due to the fact that urban studies as a program is located in the architecture and urban planning department, is that we also follow studios. So we have the semester-long studios, which can be both on research or design, and they are the core element of our program, where students then learn different methods, analyzing and engaging, and also proposing solutions. Then you go next. Mm-hmm. So long semester studios that I was talking about, and if you go next. Then here is just one poster, a studio that I personally was working with, I guess now 1.5 years ago, that happened in this real situation on the little border town between the border of Estonia and Latvia, Valga. It's also a twin city in language-wise, and this is a poster that was for our intermediate critique that took place on the same day when there was a municipal elections. And students did many different performances, some kind of an experimental polls in the intermediate urban space. So we also try to take seriously the context we are at, which is our art academy. So many kind of experimental methods are welcome. So then there are, of course, seminars, and the seminars are usually held by invited guests. Our program, it's international in the student-wise, but it's also really international if we look at the lecturers and the ones who are tutoring our studios. So they come from different fields all over the world. And we have also a little annual changing program on the different kind of a workshop where we try to put together the first and the second year MA students. So the element of interactivity is important for us, and we work in small groups. So this is also something distinctive perhaps, is that if you come and join the program, you will not be in groups which are over 20 people. Most likely you will be in groups which are internationally various and include, I would say, maximum 15 people. Yes, usual suspects. Here I put a picture which also hopefully demonstrates that here in Estonia we have 4 seasons. The winters can be quite snowy, and in urban studies we try to work with the urban space in the space itself. So that picture is took I think 2 years ago when we had a field trip in the region. So it's always organized for the first year students to have the understandings where they have landed, or where they have where they are studying now for next 2 years, is the peculiarities of the region. So if you, I don't know, go outside of Tallinn a little, it's already a quite different context you are working with. So usual suspects, so-called, the students that we would like to see as prospective urban studies students, they come from different fields, mostly from architecture or humanities. So what we ask for the admissions is not depending so much about their background, but this kind of an ability for them to formulate original questions, what and why they are interested in urban phenomena and the current tendencies that we have all over the world. So they should be able to formulate those questions, those problems, and those approaches, what they would like to pursue during their master studies. And we have, I think in admissions we have a motivation letter, kind of a portfolio, which can be both either design or written work. Written work doesn't have to be published, it is not required, but it's in a way an advantage. So, so what we appreciate is this strong interest in urban phenomena. Partners. Here is one possible list of our lecturers with whom we have worked throughout the program. So you can see that they come from different fields, both from architecture, practical architecture, but as well from universities, not only here in Estonia. So if we go again over the program, is that after the program, if you are a graduate of the program, you have theoretical ground for understanding urban history, but also contemporary development in general. You have skills and methods for studying it, as well as design skills. And what we really much hope and what we work with is that you have this kind of a comparative perspective of this field as well. Most important thing is that the deadline is May 2nd, so please check our web, which is here are all the practicalities you need to take into consideration. There are little aspects about language skills, so please come join our program, and I hope to see you all next fall or autumn 2019. Thank you. Next.
midagi ette valmistada.
ei olnud sama. noh, aga mõnikord ongi hea.
Thank you, Katie. And now we have Urmas here from Jewelry and Blacksmithing. And nii.
Okay, hello. My name is Urmas Lüüs, and I'm also not the head of the curriculum, but I at the moment represent the jewelry and blacksmithing studies in the design and craft studies. So, or the design and craft program. I'm here as a part-time teacher, and I also supervise some master students. So from that perspective, I can show you a few projects and make some generalizations about our program. So as you heard, then we have the Department of Jewelry and Blacksmithing, which means that inside our department we have two bigger directions. So if you come here, you can choose the jewelry line or the blacksmithing line. And they're both basically quite misleading names, because everybody has some kind of ideas or thoughts when they hear what is jewelry. Maybe it's small, precious, pretty. Or blacksmithing, maybe it's associating mostly with a TV series called Forged in Fire, where big hairy guys are banging hot metal. So we kind of neither work with those aspects. I just in case want to show you two master programs. This is Aleksandra Camel here. He's from the States, and this is a part of his graduation work from his master thesis. He's defending this spring. So, and what he came here to do is that he's interested in crafts, in a sense that what means to be able to work with your two bare hands in 21st century. So the first thing he did, he wanted to challenge himself in a traditional way. So he made all of his own tools. He went to the forest, took down a tree, made a boat. It's a very nice boat. The Estonian type is called habeas. And last week we went to Snellitik, which is a little lake next to our school, and it was the water test. So basically last week he got to know that his half a year work actually worked and it didn't sink. On a totally other side is a graduation work of Anneli Oppar, who's working with 3D printed iron. And of course we can ask, is 3D printing iron blacksmithing? But in our sense it kind of is, because we are still living in the Iron Age. Like, you know, we had Stone Age, we had a Bronze Age, now we have Iron Age. Some social scientists say that we are now in the Information Age or in the Plastic Age. But no, we're still basically in the Iron Age, because it's still the most important and most widely used material around us. So we need people who think about iron. So our blacksmiths are basically material-based thinkers or iron-based thinkers. And of course some traditional people can say that even welding is not blacksmithing. But the only reason why medieval blacksmiths didn't weld is that they didn't have welding machine. If medieval blacksmiths would have had electricity and welding machine, all the armors would be welded. So in that perspective, we have to always look how far we can go with iron. And in that sense, it really is blacksmithing, because she's working with a modern tool. When medieval blacksmith only had a hammer and an anvil, then now a blacksmith also has 3D printer, which can print iron. And of course, she's taking it to higher conceptual level. She just don't draw a picture or an object in a 3D program and then print it out, but she works in relationship with a computer and a program. She's working with the errors. She tries to make computer to make mistakes. She gives impossible tasks for the printer. In a way, we can ask that if it's really human to make mistakes, does it turn a 3D printer into a human when it starts to make mistakes? And in a way, yes, because we can see how it fails. It can't do what is its purpose. And it's exactly the same with jewelry, because 2 weeks ago we had a lecture from architect and architecture historian Mark Wigley, and he said that architect is the only person who don't know what a house actually is. And we can't say exactly the same thing about jewelry artists and blacksmiths in our house, because, as I said, we all have some kind of fixed ideas what jewelry is. Is it just a beautiful object? Is it emotional object? Is it an insurance value? But we always try to push this border a little bit further, to question absolutely everything. What can be a piece of jewelry made of? How far can I go with a jewelry? What actually can be a jewelry? Our people dedicate basically their whole lives to question these kind of things, and also blacksmithing. Like, how far can I go? What still is blacksmithing? How thin structure can I build so it doesn't collide under its own pressure, and so on. Our colleague Andrus Laansalu once wrote that we are living in the age of new materialism, or objects are coming back, things are coming back. But in a way it's pretty funny, because how can objects come back if they're always being around us? If we want to hit a nail in the wall, we cannot do it with a philosophical concept or with pure enthusiasm. We need to use a hammer for it. So practice and theory have to go hand in hand, because if we go too far with theory, we kind of forget what we are actually making the theory about. We are forgetting those actual things. So if you come to study to our academy, then the main idea is that you do really clear practical work and you think what you're doing. So they have to go hand in hand. And hopefully you graduate after 2 years, like Anneli Oppor and Aleksandr, if he doesn't sing before. Thank you.
Yeah.
Panin liiga vähe või?
Ei, väga hästi. Thank you, Urmas. And now we have Margit Säbe here, who is the head of Master of Contemporary Arts. So Thank you,
She
Martin.
will do a presentation.
Yes. So, hello, physical and digital listeners. I hope there are more digital listeners than physical ones, but I mean, both are good. And yes, hello, I'm Margit Säde, and I'm independent curator and culture worker based in Zurich and Tallinn. And currently, I'm leading the Contemporary Art International Contemporary Art Master Program here at the Estonian Academy of Art, and also as a visiting professor teaching in the program. And I'm sure that many of the listeners, there are always many people who want to become artists, but for several reasons they haven't taken the road or the path yet. And I'm sure that you've been waiting for this program to be launched. And last autumn, we renewed our existing master program into a totally new contemporary art master program, which is waiting exactly for people who are ready to experiment, take risks, challenge themselves, who are curious for what's happening in the society at the moment, and a lot is happening, as you all know. So we are looking for people who are willing to think critically and also act accordingly when it's necessary. So becoming an artist these days, it's let's say it's a constantly questioned career path, and you have to be courageous and interested in as well a lot of discussions, talking, but in context with talking and making, it always comes together. And we have our program is putting in the focus the artistic work of your own. So basically, your practice is part of is the main core of the studies, and everything else, all the discussions and theories, lectures start from there on. But same time, even if we encourage the artistic, outdoor-focused teaching, at the same time there is of course always opportunity to work collaboratively and also define yourself what is a collective, what kind of collective practices our society needs these days. So a lot of, maybe you could say. So teachers learn from students and students learn from teachers, as it usually is, and together we managed to create this kind of a supporting atmosphere where everybody can test their ideas. And I think one of the most important things during the art studies also in our program is the fact that you have to make mistakes, because if you don't step out of your comfort zone, if you don't step out of your things you already can do very well during your studies, then actually when do you do then? When then? So making mistakes in order to become something you really want to become, and to become an artist that you are, but haven't maybe yet shown to others, it's important. So bold experimentations and making mistakes is encouraged in our program. And of course there is next to the great tutors and access to all kinds of wonderful workshops that our new building that was opened last autumn is providing, you have also, there are workshops of printmaking, sound art, blacksmith, ceramics, textile, whatnot, and of course, let's not forget our times 3D printing. Yeah, we have that as well. So everything, all the workshops are for everyone to use, and the main thing is that you will find a forum for your ideas, and we will help and support you doing this, as well as the kind of a lot of activities what are connected next to the program. So having a lot of off-site activities and study trips, as well as you can basically run your own art space, try out on your hands, yourself, hands-on way. So the best way of learning something is doing it, trying it out. So our students having a event space in the central Freedom Square, and also having another self-initiated practices. This is a big part of the studies, as well as the small groups, individual teaching, and also changing sometimes the roles of a teacher and a student, because we constantly have to keep finding new ways of teaching and keep up with the changing society. We can go and continue. But yeah, I think the most important is that it's difficult these days to find a place or a program or school where you can have a creative, at the same time supportive and friendly place to do things you want to do. And when me and our colleagues were putting together this program, we wanted to create something that we would like to study ourselves, and if our busy schedules would allow us, we would definitely be taking the classes. Especially there was a lot of nice theory seminars that are always supporting the practical workshops. So as my previous colleague was saying, you cannot do theory without practice and the other way around. So we are trying to find a fine line of theory and practice to make it work together. And there is opportunity to choose between different tutors and your leading professors. So as I mentioned before, we have a really nice sound art department that we work together with, which also, if you're more interested in the new media and the future technologies, then basically this is a place where you get the highest competence of this field, as well as sound and radiophonic whatnot experiments of form and media. And basically, so the studies take 2 years, and they end with a final graduation show and a written text. But during these years, there are a lot of you have one big studio project, which is kind of sculpting you in time, slowly but very persistently, to work with your practice, and also to help you find your audience, which I think these days is a big question in the art mediation field. We could just maybe make it run. Yeah. So we have here some student works in the background. Some are graduating in the coming years or this year, Madiscours. And I think what is very important in the Estonian scene is that actually it's so easy to collaborate with the different institutions, both art and cultural, because everything is so close by. As well, people are really willing to work with you. And there was a previous side of a workshop at the Ida Radio where basically it was a sound workshop, and our results are going to be played today at 2 for this workshop. So there's always an actual real possibility to show the works. They are not just going to stay in school. The works can end up in the exhibitions and in the project spaces, as well as even in established institutions once in a while. And yes, so basically, I think personally, what is hardest is, as an artist, is to find your own source of energy and inspiration. And once you have learned it, it's not enough knowing it, but it's a process to learn to trust it. And I think this is what we are trying to do this mostly, that we're trying to support students and have them critical, independent thinkers, confident, so they can actually express what they want to do in arts. And that's not easy, and we need more of this. We need more of independent and critical thinking, and ambivalence in our society is going smaller and smaller, and I guess in order to stay functioning human beings, the art has to take its place back. And I think there are big words, but with this program we have plenty of freedom, but at the same time a quite clear structure. Maybe now it's coming there. But first because of course any structure can't function without the people behind it. So having basically really active, great local Estonian artists as your professors and associate professors, as well as many artists visiting from abroad every semester, several of those, doing workshops and doing one-to-one tutorings. So you can check out everybody on our webpage to read their bios, because this will take a long time now, and maybe we can quickly move to the clear structure of the semesters. So it consists idealistically we would do it in 2 years. Life shows that many people like to extend it a bit, but that's also everybody's own free will. And it consists of more like general theoretical subjects, which are also more and more have selective options, and then optional courses, and our specialty courses, which now doesn't show here, but let's say each time the questions of contemporary art, they also have 2 different topics. So first course you would have stage and body, and you could choose between sound art, or second course you could choose between the artist theoretical tools, or take the social media effects course, and etc. So, and then learning to talk about your work, which is really important in the group crit. And the next semester, and the spring semester usually has a collaboration course with curatorial students, where we meet and make a new project together, collaboratively out of it. And then there's a study trip, there's a like hands-on installation practice, where you learn how to install and de-install exhibition in the city, and several master classes which keep changing, and then the 1/3 of your semester goes into developing your author work. And yes, and the last semester is for your thesis. So, thank you for listening, and I hope to see you all back, because it's a great program, and the greatest is that it's growing together with the students we have in, and so you come and you make it. Thanks. I hope to see you at the entrance exams.
Thank you, Margit. And lastly, we have Tanel Kärpjärv, who is going to talk about interaction design masters. We will put the slideshow on. Okay, sul on see otsik olemas. Siin ja. Thank you.
So, hi to all of you who are watching. So my name is Tanel, and I'm gonna tell you very quickly about the interaction design program here in EKA, also known as the IXDA.MA. So our program is a fairly new one, now in its 3rd year, and it's part of the design faculty here at the Estonian Academy of Art. So what is actually interaction design? Let's start with the basics. So, interaction design, user experience design, service design, these are all kind of those fancy terms that have become more and more popular. Everyone is doing it, everyone is talking about it, but what they all in the end boiled down to is human-centered design. So interaction design is a design approach that focuses on humans, humans' needs, humans' values, and it researches them to find problems we have and to discover hidden opportunities that are there. Hidden possibilities where we can change something and basically come up with new and innovative ideas for products and services. So interaction design is foremost a practice, like medicine or law. It is a mindset, it is the values, it is the tools that designers use, it's the methods, the process that the designers go through. And here in ECA we take quite a broad approach to interaction design. So we combine it with service design, and basically what we here do is user experience design. And they mostly concentrate on the thinking and the mindset of designers, and not so much on the tools and methods. Why? I'm going to tell you in a few seconds. So interaction design is one of the fastest developing design fields out there, and it's all comes down to the advances of technology. So as you may have noticed, then technology is advancing super fast right now, and all those innovations of the 20th century that came, like computers, internet, etc., they have by now developed to this point where they are used by everyone, by the masses. And interaction designers are here to design this technology like that it would be valuable for us, that it would be beautiful for us to use, it would be usable for us to use. And basically we are there between the people and the technology. Why it's also super necessary is that we are currently, as you may know, in the doorstep of the next industrial revolution even. So with the coming of the artificial intelligence, the way we live, the way we work, the way we entertain, basically it all will change completely. And us interaction designers, we are there to help kind of humankind step into this unknown future. So what is our approach here in ECA? Our focus in ECA is on innovation and building the better future. So in companies, there are those different levels of how much a company uses design. So it starts with the company basically thinking that, or the people at the company thinking that they know the best, what's best for the users. They don't include users. So then they start like using maybe user testing for usability, their products or services. And then they start actually improving their products, etc., until the company is completely design-led. Our approach in ECA is in the top sector. So basically we focus on innovation and actually creating a better future. There are very many ways to approach teaching design at a university. You could be very academic, read books, write papers. You could be super practical or philosophical, think about critical design. You could be experimental, build stuff, see what happens. So in ECA we concentrate on the last three parts of it, and we are mostly practical and also experimental. So what this means is that we work with real-life projects, real-life clients, and we concentrate on, as I said before, thinking, or actually teaching our students to think as designers. As technology is so fast, so are the design tools we use, and actually so are the problems that we as designers face. So basically during my speech, let's say 10-15 minutes that I'm here now, probably 3 new design tools are launched somewhere, and each one claims that they're the best one. So there's really no point in teaching those kind of tools. And it's more about teaching this mindset and thinking behind it. And actually, yeah. Also, as technology is advancing super fast, but humans really are not. So we are kind of still staying the same. And it takes for us like 10,000 years to evolve to that point where the computers can evolve in like a few years. So as technology is becoming more and more smarter, we as designers, we have to understand more and more actually the people who are using this technology, the people for whom we are designing, and those people's needs, their emotions, and that's why you can't focus actually on teaching the skills anymore. So in ECA we are learning by doing, which means that our classes are project-based. We don't have lectures per se. It's a studio-based, so we have a few studio rooms in ECA where all the students come, they work together, think together. And we are working, as I said before, a lot together with the industry. So we have been working together with the biggest banks in Estonia, the biggest telecoms. Now we are actually starting our first international projects. So it means that all the problems you're facing with their real-life problems, the briefs come from real-life clients, and of course we always go out the building and actually work with real people. Also, our mentors are from the field. So as I said, we don't have academic lectures, and we don't call our lecturers or our mentors. We don't call our mentors lecturers or teachers. All our mentors are designers who are currently working on the field. They have this real-life experience, and they are kind of sharing this experience and just guiding our students forward as they go through the projects by themselves. So it is actually like a mutual learning experience. Our students learn from their mentors, and the mentors also learn from the students. What we value a lot is diversity. So our students don't only learn from the mentors, but also from each other. Currently we have students from 13 different nationalities, and they are from very different backgrounds. So some of them are designers, some are from the medicine field, some are from business, some are developers. And what this enables is basically peer-to-peer learning. So we have special sessions where students come together, and each time one student teaches something to the others that he or she is best in. And also when solving the problems and working with the design ideas, generating concepts, then all those different backgrounds coming together enables us to come up with ideas that we wouldn't come up with otherwise. So our program is all about creating options. So our students can focus during their studies in what interests them the most. So currently we have a few people doing their master's projects. One of them is working on introducing design thinking into tech companies. The other one is working with the music industry. Another one is working with augmented and virtual reality. So as our approach is more about the design thinking, then our students are actually responsible themselves for selecting the path that they are most interested in, and also in the end selecting this one field in which they want to become experts. And our program is just here to help you become experts in that kind of field that you are really interested in. So how do we do that? Our motto is emphasize, build and innovate. So we are a 2-year program. And these 2 years are divided into 4 semesters. The first one is emphasize, where we teach students to basically emphasize with people. We teach service design. Our students go out, work with the company, and they learn about the company, they learn about the people who are using this company's services, and they come up with ways to make those services better or come up with new services. We also teach storytelling, which is like an integral part in design thinking or in design, because if you have to, let's say, present our works at the end of each project, then we present them through stories, through video stories. Because design is not about the screens, design is not about the object, it's about the experience we have with it. And the best way to capture this experience is through video. So we teach that as well. The second semester is about building. So we teach tangible design, where students actually build things with Arduinos, interactive prototypes. We teach emotional designs, where our students learn about the emotive qualities of the designs. They learn design apps. There's also digital product innovation, where our students again go out of the building, they work with the real clients, and they start innovating or coming up ways to create innovative products for those companies. So it's about learning by building, or thinking by building. The third semester is about innovation. And here we take all the previous skills and we take them one step further. So for example, we teach social innovation, where students work with issues like how do we get underage boys to go and see the men's doctor. So basically we learn about behavior design and designing for social innovation. And also emerging themes, where our students learn about new technologies that are shaping our lives. So we have made projects around IoT, and now we are more focusing on AI, because as I told before, it's going to change our lives fundamentally, and we as designers have to be prepared for that. And eventually the last semester is for the degree projects, where our students pick one field they're most interested in and do a project around that. What it's about, it's up to them. So we are a new program, and our aim is to put Estonia on the map and Eka on the map in this field of interaction design. There aren't very many schools out there yet that would teach that, so it's actually a very good possibility to do it. I will end my short presentation with a few project insights. So for example, this was a project we made this previous semester with Elisa, who is the largest telecom here in Estonia. And they gave us a brief on how might the telecom's customer service look in 5 years' time. So, following the very classical design process, our students went out there, they researched the company, they researched basically everyday people who use services, and they understood that there are a lot of Estonians who are working abroad, and they need to. And one of their main problems was that they want to feel more connected to their families who are left back in home. And they became inspired by this thought, by this insight, and they basically came up with this system that let's start using this kind of home telephone number again. There used to be like a telephone in every home, but now everyone uses cell phones, so basically those home phones have gone away. But what if this home phone would come back, and it would be actually not just a number, but it would be a system that's connected to an artificial intelligence that's kind of your own call operator that lives in your home. So let's say you're going home and you can call your home phone and ask that, hey, is my wife at home? Okay, she's not, so I can make a small surprise for her when I actually go home finally. So the students basically came up with this elaborate system and how it works. So this is interaction design. Another project, very quickly, how might we apply artificial intelligence in everyday life? This was a very short workshop we did together with Google. And in 3 days our students explored ways by video prototyping on how we might start using AI in everyday life in the next upcoming years. And this was one project that explored how we might combine all this data we have about basically everything into the home buying process or home renting process. So a guy goes to an apartment and he can see, basically understand what the sounds in this apartment are at different times of the day. He can understand how the neighbors, how the noise, how the lighting, how the temperature, how all those things affect his future life there. There was a social design project we did with the Estonian Reuse Center. And here the students basically with the young males who take their old stuff to reuse center, but they don't buy new stuff from there. So there's like this broken circle, and they used all kind of different methodologies to understand why is it like that, and try to come up with a solution that would kind of change their behavior and nudge them towards making those decisions and actually start shopping from the reuse center. So there are like many parts of this solution. They rebranded their center itself. They created a telephone, not really an app, but an add-on to shopping apps that would nudge people towards buying there and so on. So that's like a very complex solution that consisted of small touch points. And finally, yeah, there was an exhibition right now where students, I don't have any video for that, worked with Arduinos. They built prototypes on projects. Basically the question was, how might we bring interactions away from digital screens onto physical objects? And the students came up with concepts such as a candy disposal machine that works, that there are like, let's say, two machines in a home office. And you want to send a compliment to your co-worker, then you would pat the machine, and the other machine on the other side of the room would receive a candy, would give out the candy. And so basically it's like creates this social dynamic in an office space. So as you see, we have very varied projects, very varied briefs, and really it's all about creating new possibilities for the future and understanding how we can use the technology. So come and join us and let's create the future together.
Thank you. So the deadline for your application is 2nd May, and you can see more information from arton.ee admissions website. So thank you Tanel, thank you Margit, thank you Kirke, thank you Urmas, and thank you Katie. See you.